Physics, or the study of matter, energy, and the interactions between them, helps us to understand the laws and rules that govern the physical world. Not every student will grow up and study physics on a deeper level, but everyone uses basic physics concepts to navigate everyday life. Physics gets involved in your daily life right from when you wake up in the morning. The buzzing sound of an alarm clock helps you wake up in the morning as per your schedule. The sound is something that you can't see but hear. Physics studies the origin, propagation, and properties of sound. It works on the concept of quantum mechanics. Right after you wake up in the morning and start preparing for your school or office, you need an ironed cloth. The steam iron is such a machine that uses a lot of physics to make it go. The foremost principle of physics used in the steam iron is heat. Heat in the thermodynamics is a type of energy transfer from a warmer substance to a colder one. Ironing works by having a heated metal base that is the sole plate. Now when you get ready for your office or school, whatever medium of transportation you use, you certainly have to walk up to a certain distance. While you have a walk in a park or on a road, you have a good grip without slipping because of a sort of roughness or resistance between the soles of your shoes and the surface of the road. This resistance, which is responsible for the grip, is called friction. Whenever you are at your workplace or in your school, a ballpoint pen is always necessary. In this case, the concept of gravity comes into play. As your pen moves across the paper, the ball turns and gravity forces the ink down into the top of the ball, where it is transferred onto the paper. When you tighten your car seat belt, it works on the concept of inertia. Inertia is unwillingness of our body to change its state of rest or motion. In case of a car collision, your seat belt helps to prevent your body from moving in a forward direction, as your body resists being stopped because of inertia of motion. Learning about physics is more than just the black holes and stars in space. It's the study of interactions between matter and energy. From cars to refrigerators, understanding each of them requires the study of physics.
In today's world, there are new opportunities for disaster communication through modern technology and social media platforms. Social media platforms or applications such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram can connect friends, families, first responders, and those who provide assistance and relief. But these social media platforms or applications have certain limitations. They cannot be used in disaster situations such as power outages or interrupted cellular networks. To prevent this from happening in a country like India, we have emergency responders, utility companies, relief organizations, and government as they raise funds to support post-disaster communications. Communication during and after pandemic situation is a vital component of response and recovery. Reliable communication is a key role in communities' resilience.
During COVID-19 pandemic, many companies are finding a variety of ways to communicate with their customers. Organizations may use teledetailing or telemarketing through emails, social media, or other third-party functions for video conferencing. Communication could be verbal, written, and electronic, such as texts, emails, telephone calls, teleconferencing, voicemails, and other handwritten notes. For example, since most life sciences companies cannot be person to person to their customers, emailing, picking up telephones, or sending text messages can be the next best option. Because the communication may have varying impact than do traditional face-to-face meetings, it is important for them to be conducted under a company's policies, guidelines, and trainings because they are permanent, recorded, and easily searchable. No matter the form of communication, whether during our pandemic state of affair or not, these communication may pose legal, regulatory, compliance risk for proper precautions are not taken. Below some guidelines to remember when communicating either externally with customers or internally with employees. These communication suggestions are not in any special order of importance and can apply in many situations.
Good morning, everyone. I am Jyotiraditya Pal from class 12A. Now, today we will be discussing about telecommunication. Now, what is telecommunication? A telecommunication system or a communication system is a collection of individual telecommunication networks, transmission systems, relay station, tributary station, terminal equipment, usually capable of interconnection and interpretation to form integrated whole system. The components of telecommunication systems serve a common purpose and are technically compatible and use common procedure, respond to controls and operate in union. Telecommunication is a method of communication which is used for the act of conveying intended meanings from one entity or group to another through the use of mutually understood signs and semiotic symbols and rules. Now, the major consequences of the communication systems are: number one, transmitter. A transmitter is a setup that transmits the message to the receiving end through a communication channel. Its main function is to convert the message signal, produce information in a suitable form, and then transmit it. Number two, transmission medium. It is a medium or a physical part that connects a transmitter to a receiver. It also carries modulated waves from transmitter to the receiver. Number three, receiver. It is the setup that receives the transmitted signal from the transmission medium and performs demodulation, that is, recovering the original message. Now, let's talk about some of the basic terminology of the communication system. Transducer. It is a device which converts energy from one form into another. Signal. It is an electrical analog of information produced by the source, which is also defined as a single valued function of time, which carries a unique value at every instance of time. Noise. It is the unwanted electrical signal which gets interfered with the information signal during its propagation. Transmitter. The loss of strength of a signal during its propagation through transmission medium is attenuation. Amplification. It is the process of increasing the amplitude and hence the strength of an electrical signal by providing an electrical circuit. Range. It is defined as the largest distance between the source and the destination up to which signal can be received with sufficient strength. Bandwidth. It refers to the frequency over range which an equipment operates or the range over which the frequencies carry a signal. Baseband. It is referred to the band of frequency of the original signal as produced by the source. Modulation. It is the process in which sound characteristics, usually amplitude, frequency, or the phase of high frequency carrier wave is varied in accordance with the instantaneous value of the low frequency information signal. Demodulation. It is the process of recovering the original information signal from the modulated wave at the receiver end. Repeater. A repeater is a combination of transmitter, amplifier, and receiver which picks up the signal from transmitter, amplifies it, and then transmits it through the receiver, sometimes with a change of carrier frequency. Now, let's talk about the types of communication system. The fiber optic communication system transmits information from one place to another by sending light through an optical fiber. The light forms a carrier signal that is modulated to carry information. The radio communication system. It is composed of several communication systems that gives exterior communication capabilities. A radio communication system comprises of a transmitting conductor in which electrical oscillation or current are produced, which is arranged to cause such currents or oscillation to be propagated through free space medium from one point to another remote. Therefore, a receiving conductor at a distant point adapted to be excited by the oscillation of the current propagated from the transmitter. Power line communication. It is a system which operates by impressing a modulated carrier signal on power wires. Different types of power line communication use different frequency band, depending on signal transmission characteristics of the power wiring used. Since the power wiring was originally intended for transmission of AC power, the power wire circuit have a limited ability to carry higher frequency. The propagation problem is the limiting factor for each power line communication. Duplex communication. It is a system in which is composed of two connected parties or device which communicates with each other in both directions. The term duplex is used for describing communication with two parties or devices. Duplex systems are employed in nearly all the communication network, either to allow communication two-way street between two connected parties or to provide a reverse path for monitoring and remote adjustment of equipments in the field.
Space communication, propagation of electromagnetic waves. The term space communication refers to the sending, receiving, and processing of information through physical space as the communication medium. An electromagnetic wave radiated from an antenna can be transmitted through space in three ways: along the ground, that is ground wave; directly in a straight line through intervening tropospheric space, that is space wave or tropospheric wave or surface wave; and upwards in the sky, followed by reflection from the ionosphere, that is sky wave or ionospheric wave. Ground wave propagation. A radio wave that can travel directly from one point to another following the surface of the earth is called a ground wave. Ground wave propagation is possible only when the transmitting and receiving antenna are close to the surface of the earth. Some properties of ground wave propagation are: given enough transmitting power, ground waves can be used to communicate between any two locations on the earth. Ground waves are relatively unaffected by changing atmospheric conditions. Ground waves require a relatively high transmission power. As ground waves are limited to VLF, LF, and MF signals, they require large antennas. Ground losses vary with surface material and composition. Space or tropospheric wave propagation. If a radio wave transmitted from an antenna traveling in a straight line directly reaches the receiving antenna, it is called a space wave. The space wave propagation is also called tropospheric or line of sight propagation. The range of space wave propagation is limited by the line of sight distance, that is, the distance at which the transmitting and receiving antenna can see each other, and the curvature of the earth. Sky wave propagation. A radio wave directed towards the sky and reflected by the ionosphere towards the desired location of the earth is called a sky wave. Radio waves of frequencies between 2 MHz to 20 MHz can be reflected by the ionosphere. This region of the AM band is called shortwave band. These waves radiated from a certain point and after being reflected by the ionosphere can be received at another point on the surface. This is known as sky wave or ionospheric propagation.
2 MHz to 30 MHz.
Some terminology related to sky wave propagation. Number 1, critical frequency. It is the highest frequency of radio wave which, when sent straight or normally towards the given layer of ionosphere, gets reflected from ionosphere and returns to the earth. Number 2, maximum usable frequency or MUF. It is defined as the highest frequency of the radio wave which, when sent at certain angle towards the given layer of ionosphere, gets reflected and returns to the earth. Number 3, skip distance. It is defined as the smallest distance from a transmitter measured along the earth's surface to the point where the sky wave of a fixed frequency but less than critical frequency returns to the earth after reflection from the ionosphere. Number 4, fading. It is defined as the variation in the strength of a signal at a receiver due to interference of waves.
Physics allows us to understand the electromagnetic radiation which we use to transmit data with fiber optics and satellites, and to build computers that interpret those signals and transmit on the internet. The communication system mainly consists of transducer, signal, noise, transmitter, receiver, communication channel, attenuation, amplification, range, repeaters, modulation, demodulation, and antenna. In a communication system, the message or signal can be voice, music, pictures, or computer data. Each of the signals has different ranges of frequencies. The type of communication system needed for a given signal depends on the band of frequencies, which is considered essential for the communication process. In communication, an antenna at the transmitter radiates radio waves, which travel through space and reach the receiving antenna at the other place with a particular mode of propagation. Depending on the frequency range of radio waves, the distance between the transmitting and receiving antennas, several factors influence the propagation of radio waves and the path they follow. There are three modes of propagation of radio waves: ground wave propagation, sky wave propagation, and space wave propagation. The audio frequency electrical signals obtained by conversion of sound waves within the hearing range, that is, the waves having frequencies from 20 Hz to 20 kHz, cannot be transmitted as such over long distances. So modulations are needed. There are mainly three types of modulation: amplitude modulation, frequency modulation, and phase modulation. Now the internet is one of the most significant discoveries in the communication system. The internet is a global network connecting millions of computers. More than 180 countries are linked into exchange of data, news, and opinions. Unlike online services which are centrally controlled by design, the internet is a decentralized network. Each internet computer called a host is independent. Because the internet is a global network of computers, each computer connected to the internet must have a unique address. Internet addresses are in the form of nnn.nnn, where nnn must be a number from 0 to 2555. Now, the communication system has also various applications. It can be used in cases of natural disaster or to send important news to someone else in communicating and chatting with our friends and near and dear ones and our family members also.